It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 4 films released on Thanksgiving weekend 2008. Another wide assortment of movies here. A comedy with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, an epic adventure with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman from Baz Luhrmann, the third installment in the Transporter series, and Sean Penn's Oscar-winning turn as Harvey Milk. So, we have a lot to get to here. Let's just go ahead and jump straight on into it. Starting off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon in the holiday comedy 4 Christmases. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I knew this movie wasn't that great back then, but man, I forgot how terrible this movie really is. Because, okay, this isn't Deck the Halls or Christmas with the Cranks kind of bad, but it's a type of bad that I've kind of talked about with other Christmas movies around this time period. But this is a story, as you can see from the trailer. Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are a couple who must travel to 4 family parties after their vacation plans get canceled due to dense fog, and basically a nosy reporter who apparently wants to fuck around with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, because not only does she does this at the beginning of the movie, she does this again at the end of the movie. Like, just finds the one couple that just happens to be Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, and yeah, you can see where the problems start to come into play here. This movie pretty much has everything that's wrong with a lot of these late 2000s Christmas movies. They feel fabricated by the studios. The heart is not clearly in them. They're just there so that they can be out, they can make money at first, and then even if they don't make money, don't worry, they're still going to make a ton of money when they start playing them on TV over the next 15 years, which 4 Christmases, sure enough, has definitely become one of those movies. You see it every year on AMC, and yeah, needless to say, this thing is not held up well, and you can see from the trailer how bad this movie is. I mean, this is not a funny movie at all. With the one exception, I like the subplot where Vince Vaughn's best friend is actually dating his mother, played by Sissy Spacek, which I thought that was actually one of the funnier moments in the movie, where, you know, Vince Vaughn is so detestable of this guy that he used to call his friend, and he's just like, you know, we were best friends, and then he started banging my mother, pretty much. Like, that's a good funny moment in there, and there is even a legitimate heartfelt moment between Jon Voight and Reese Witherspoon as father and daughter. That subplot overall is pretty good. The other 2 subplots, though, not so much. Robert Duvall, and of course Jon Favreau, and I think that's Tim McGraw as the other brother, Mary Steenburgen, and Kristen Chenoweth usually is very funny, but even she can't save this. I mean, things just happen in this movie for the sake of things to happen so that we can move a plot along here. You never feel like there's anything that's making this worthy of a Christmas movie. In fact, if this movie had not been called 4 Christmases, you could have called this anything else. Like, you could have called it 4 birthdays. Like, everybody has 4 different birthdays in the same month. Or maybe like with my family, we have like 5 different birthdays in the month of March. So we have to get together at some point. But our family is at least smart enough to make it once at one time, and not have it be 4 separate events overall. But yeah, this film is not that good. In fact, it's not even that great overall. I mean, I didn't hate it back then, but as time has gone on, and I finally got to watch this again a couple of years ago, I started realizing that, yeah, this puppy ain't working, man. I mean, Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are trying their best to save it, but again, like most bad comedies, they aren't given a lot of funny things to work with here. I mean, the crux of the jokes in that trailer, oh, the baby spit up and Vince Vaughn's got a gag reflex. It's just like, come on, man. I mean, really? Like, I don't know, man. I just did not like this movie at all. Like, I liked it back then, but, man, it has not held up well over time whatsoever. It's a lame movie, man. And a prime example of the late 2000s Christmas movies that were clearly just made so they could get them out there, so they can be seen as holiday classics, when they're really not. Nobody's going to watch this every year like you're going to watch A Christmas Story every year, like It's a Wonderful Life, or Home Alone, or Elf, or The Polar Express. Far better movies than this movie right here. This is like Fred Claus, or the worst Christmas comedies, Christmas with the Cranks, Deck the Halls, where it shows up on your TV every year, and Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are just packing on the residuals for every time it plays on TV every other day during the month of December, which this movie has done that and then some. I know it was like that last year, but bottom line, this movie is not that good. So yeah, avoid Four Christmases like the plague. See better Christmas movies out there. I would even say see Fred Claus again. Fred Claus was at least trying to do something. This is just a movie that felt like it was just etched together at the last minute. Like I said, not Christmas with the Cranks or Deck the Halls bad, but pretty lame overall. So that's Four Christmases. Let's move on to the next movie, and that's Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman and Baz Luhrmann's latest film, Australia. This is a really odd movie because I really like the first half of it, and then the second half is where it kind of falls apart with me. But this is a story that's a character story set between 1939 and 1942 against a dramatized backdrop of events across northern Australia at the time, such as the bombing of Darwin during World War II, with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman at the forefront of this. And this is Baz Luhrmann's first film after Moulin Rouge, and it's not a bad movie per se, but it's definitely a film where, like I said, the first half, you really do get invested in it. You really do go along with the ride. Some really good, beautiful shots all across this film, but the best part of it is in the first half. The second half is where it kind of starts to fall apart. It kind of reminds me of W a little bit, where the first half was really good. Second half starts to peter off a little bit here, but a lot like W, where I actually did kind of enjoy that more. I really think the second half of this really falls off to a point where there's no real saving grace for it, per se. Things just happen for the sake of happening, and yeah, the visuals are nice to look at, and yeah, you get to see Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman on screen, and Nicole Kidman, I think, gets naked in this, but in the end, is that really what you want to go to a movie like this for? I mean, you want to see... I get what they're trying to do here. They're trying to create another, out of Africa, or another, African Queen, or Lawrence of Arabia, or Havana, or Far and Away, like these big epic movies, and this is what they were trying to do here with this, and Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, those type of movies, but yeah, this one just doesn't quite do that per se. Not because the actors aren't trying. The actors are trying their best here. I just really don't think there was enough there for the second half of the movie to really keep us afloat overall. And with Baz Luhrmann, I'm mostly mixed on him. I liked Romeo and Juliet. I like Moulin Rouge. I really like what his next film's going to be, The Great Gatsby. Everything else of his, not so much. This is definitely one of his lesser films. And he went ahead and made a extended version of this for Hulu not too long ago, which was Far Way Down, which was seen as kind of like a serialized version of it. And I watched it to see maybe if I watch this, maybe I'll find the true beauty of this thing. Maybe this is something that I need to see to really appreciate how good this is. And to be honest, I didn't really get a whole lot from it per se. I guess it's an interesting concept to re-edit the movie together into a 6-part series, and I'll give him credit for trying. I'll give him credit for trying to do something unique and different with it, but it just isn't enough there to really carry as a film overall. Overall, it's not a bad film, but it's definitely a film where it is the perfect example of a style over substance movie. The first half, I think, is really good. Second half is where it falls off completely, and it's a shame because there's a lot of things I like in here, but the script is all over the place, and there's not really much going on in the second half to make me want to stick around for it, so... Mixed opinion on Australia. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Transporter 3. Yeah, screw the family movies, screw Twilight, screw Four Christmases. Let's take Grandma and the kids out to see Transporter 3. I don't get why they released this on Thanksgiving weekend. Like, this is a film that I feel like if it's gonna do well enough, it's gonna do well over Labor Day, because that's how the other movies opened up. Transporter and Transporter 2 were big successes over the Labor Day weekend, but you're opening this on a weekend with so many blockbusters out there, this is gonna get lost in the shuffle, and honestly, it's not the best of the Transporter movies per se. Jason Statham's back as Frank Martin, who returns to France in order to continue his low-key business of delivering packages without question. And one of the packages this time around is a woman played by Natalia Rudakova, who they eventually have to go to this place because there's a bomb on his car, and I guess they're tied together or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I remember this one not being as good as it should have been. I mean, this is not as good as the other Transporters movies. Silly, but fun. This one I felt like they were trying a little too seriously, but even when they get stupid, they get really stupid at it. There's literally a scene in the movie where Jason Statham is fighting bad guys, and he's stripping while he's also doing kung fu. It's just like, I'm pretty sure that's not the best way to go, because as soon as somebody sees that you're your dick is out, the first thing they're going to do is try to cut that off of you, and then you're completely helpless at that point. But then again, would I expect anything better from the director of Taken? Not the good Taken, Taken 2 and Taken 3, and Columbiana, just these lesser movies that were probably better off in other films in general. But this one, yeah, this is not what you expect from the same director. You're not expecting high quality from the same director as Taken 2 and 3. And this film definitely is the weakest of the Transporter movies, but to its credit, it's not terrible. It's just not as good as the other films are. But I will give it this. It's better than their reboot that they tried to do 7 years later with Transporter Refueled, which they take the absurdity to insane levels in that one. But we'll save that for 2015. But Transporter 3, it is what it is. It's not as good as the other films, but I guess I can't say it's absolutely horrible. So with that said, let's move on to the last one we have here, and that's Sean Penn starring as Harvey Milk in Milk. Recruit me to win that Oscar! Okay, last time I'm going to use this as a prop, but truth be told, unlike Angelina Jolie and Changeling, Sean Penn did actually win the Oscar for this. Some might say it wasn't worth it, but the movie wasn't bad. Of course, this is the story of the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California as a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. And Harvey Milk, of course, was assassinated in 1978 the mayor George Moscone was also assassinated on that day. And the film goes back in time to show you how it led up to the 78 assassination. And like I said, it's not a bad movie at all. It's a good movie. Sean Penn really does give it his all as Harvey Milk in here. Gus Van Sant delivers, I think, his best film overall since Good Will Hunting. And it's an enjoyable movie. You have a cast that also includes Emile Hirsch, Josh Brolin, Diego Luna, James Franco. But, yeah, I think to me, though, the fact that Sean Penn won an Oscar for this, I mean, in any other year when there wasn't any good performances, I probably would have given him the award, but this was the year that Brad Pitt was nominated for Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Mickey Rourke was nominated for The Wrestler. Dev Patel was nominated for Slumdog Millionaire. Richard Jenkins was nominated for The Visitor. And honestly, I would rather take any of those four to win Best Actor than Sean Penn did. Sean Penn's already got an Oscar, and even in that year, he wasn't better than Bill Murray. Bill Murray, I think, is much better than in Lost in Translation in that movie than he was in Mystic River. Even though I like Mystic River, this just feels like we have to give him 2 Oscars for his great work overall. I felt it's like Anthony Hopkins not too long ago. Like, here's your Oscar for your body of work, not because you gave a great performance overall, but this is your Oscar because we respect you as an actor. And but I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking that per se. But like I said, he's not bad in the movie. He's actually really good in here, and this is a really good story about a critical moment that happened in history. I mean, this was a moment that happened in back in the 70s, and there was a great documentary, The Times of Harvey Milk, which was released in '84, I think it was. That I was recommended by Siskel and Ebert, and I thought that was actually really good. So yeah, this is a fascinating film overall. Is it the best movie? Is it one of the best movies of the year? No, not really. It's not even, I think, Sean Penn's best performance overall. I think he's made a lot of other great movies than this, but just shows you how far he's come from that surfer dude from Fast Times at Ridgemont High 26 years ago. But yeah, I'm talking bad about this film overall, but I do like it. I think it is an enjoyable movie. It's a very entertaining film. Sean Penn's really good in it. The writing is very good. And for Gus Van Sant to come back from Psycho after all these years and make his best film since Good Will Hunting, I mean, this is definitely the direction you want to go with a guy like him. So, but yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy it. I think it is a very entertaining film. I recommend it. Milk. Now, one note of correction before anyone in the comments says, oh, you got this wrong here. Dev Patel was not nominated for Slumdog Millionaire for Best Actor. It was actually Frank Langella for Frost Nixon, which, again, a much better movie, I think, than a much better performance than I think of Sean Penn here. But I bring this up because when we meet next time on Time About the Movies, that is one of the 4 films we'll take a look at, including The Late Ray Stevenson and The Punisher Warzone, which overall I still think is the best Punisher movie or TV show we've gotten. Okay, maybe not TV show. The Punisher TV series on Netflix was actually pretty good. Cadillac Records, which features Beyonce Knowles among its cast. Noble Son, which features Alan Rickman and Eliza Dushku. And the aforementioned Frost Nixon from Ron Howard with Frank Langella and Michael Sheen. We'll take a look at those 4 movies coming up tomorrow on the show, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this, please go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's when you get updates on when new videos coming out, and we do post new videos here every day. So, with all that said, I'm off. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.